Hey everybody, Jason Cooper here from Kickstarted with another edition of Funded Friday. Today I am lucky to be joined by Clint O'Connor, who is the creator of a project that's currently live on Kickstarter. The project is called Pinhole Printed, a 3D printed pinhole camera. It currently has $10,165 raised against a goal of $1,200. Over 237 backers with just over 16 days left to go in his campaign. So welcome, Clint. Thanks for coming and joining us today.
Okay, hello, I'm Clint O'Connor, and just for the benefit of your viewers, I probably should say that I am deaf and that I will be trying to follow along with your questions, but I may need help from my wife here, and so people should not be surprised if they hear someone else talking or repeating the question.
That is true. I forgot to mention that. I guess that's important, but I think we'll be fine. So let's get to the first question, Clint. Tell us about your Kickstarter campaign and where did the idea come from and how long have you been making cameras?
Okay, so the campaign for Kickstarter started out originally for my pinhole cameras. I've been doing pinhole cameras for a long time, 15, 20 years, and then I did them long before that. And I made my pinhole cameras out of cardboard and wood and various other things. And then I would hack apart cameras, the production cameras like old Kodak, and I would hack them to make pinhole cameras. But about a year ago, I got a 3D printer, and I've been designing and printing things with that. And then the thought crossed my mind, well, I could use this to make more pinhole cameras. And one of the problems with pinhole cameras was that none of them were reproducible. Every one was a one-off. And with the 3D printer, I would be able to make a camera that other people could use.
That's interesting to think that something that's so old-fashioned, like a pinhole camera, is suddenly able to be done because of modern technology in a repeatable way, and that you've used it there. So just to jump ahead, I know that you've had a lot of experience on Kickstarter. Tell us about that and why and how maybe that drove you to bring your pinhole camera project to Kickstarter.
Yeah, so I've been backing projects for some time on Kickstarter, and I've been getting my reward from various projects and watching how the Kickstarter project operated, and that got me to thinking when I was doing the 3D printing that I realized that this would be a great way to bring in people who had not done pinhole photography or who had not even done film. And so it got me to thinking about using Kickstarter to launch my own project around the pinhole camera.
What projects have you backed in the past that you remember fondly?
Let's see, back the biggest one is probably the rigid bot by Michael Lundwall, and I backed Lombardi leather belt, and iPhone tripod tilt stand, and a whole bunch of others, about 30 of them, but I can't remember them all.
Have your experiences on Kickstarter been mostly positive?
Yeah. And I'd actually hope to have the rigid button time to help me with this project, but they're still working on it, so I will get it when I will get it when I get it.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your campaign for a second, which did really well right out the gate. Did you expect to reach your goal so quickly?
I did not. I had set a modest goal that would cover the cost of the materials to make the camera. And I thought there was probably enough interest in pinhole photography that I would make my goal and learn from the experience and show people how pinhole photography was done. But no, I did not expect to reach it in 13 and a half hours. I thought it would be a couple of weeks.
Well, yeah, it's very impressive to do it in that short period of time. And I'm wondering if there are any things from your experience that you might be able to share, like specific things that you did prior to launching, whether that was planning or marketing or social media, that helped you achieve your goal so quickly?
I did quite a bit of research on the Kickstarter project that I had funded and looked back to some of that and looked at some of the experiences that others had. In particular, one of the things I wanted to do was have a very clear goal and what I wanted to do with it. I wanted to do the pinhole camera. I wanted to introduce people who had never done film before, because looking at the Kickstarter demographic, about half of the younger population have probably always used digital cameras. And the older population have probably used film in the past, but they may have gotten out of film or they got into pinhole photography. The whole video, that when I did the video, I wanted to hammer on those 2 points, that this was a great way to get back into photography. It was unique because there are things that you cannot do with the digital camera that you can do with pinhole. And it was an application of modern technology to old world photographic usage. And so the video, one thing that I focused on, and then the other one was just simply set up the rewards so the people felt like they were getting something out of the project, not just a photograph or something, but also actually able to get the camera file to print themselves or to get the camera. So really aiming at two audiences, one with the 3D printing group and the other with the photography group.
Well, that's really smart and obviously paid a lot of dividends for you. And I think what was really interesting to me about your campaign, other than the project, which I'm just a fan of pinhole photography and thought it was a cool idea, was that you limited the amount of cameras that were going to be sold so that you couldn't sell more than, I think, 400 or 600 cameras, which is, some people will think, well, why would you do that? And I'm going to ask you to, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you to answer it. Why did you ultimately decide to limit the number of cameras that you were going to sell? And what from your past experiences from Kickstarter or in life drove you to make that decision?
Why did you limit the number?
The main reason I limited the campaign was that this was about using 3D printing technology to produce an old school camera, and 3D printers are not fast, and I wanted to keep control of the entire campaign, and so I limited the reward to what I could deliver, because it's very important to me that I deliver on time and when I say I will. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm making everyone with the printers that I have, and I did increase the number of rewards a little bit when I got the second printer, but I'm still keeping a tight rein on it because I feel it's more important to deliver on time and keep the backers happy than it is to take on too much. And also, if I let this get away from me and I had to make 1,000 or 2,000 of them, I would have no choice but to go to injection molding. That would mean finding suppliers, and the whole point of 3D printed camera would be lost, because an injection molded camera would not be 3D printed, would it? So this was a very focused Kickstarter campaign. I wanted to keep control over it. And I think that anybody who is launching a Kickstarter need to keep that in mind. They need to keep what they can control, keep in mind what they can control, and deliver on time and with the quality that they want. As soon as you start handing things off to outside manufacturers, you're introducing a lot of uncertainty and delay.
Yeah, I think I'm glad that you did that, because I think it's a problem that a lot of crowdfunders don't see, is the success problem, and how do you keep control on it. And so it's definitely, I'm glad that someone's using that approach successfully like yours. And for me, it begs the question, since it was so successful and because you did limit it in the end, do you have plans to take this business and do a second campaign at some point once you've fulfilled, or turn it into a more standard business where you're selling them through a web store or something like that? Do you have any plans after the campaign's over for the business?
At the moment, my entire attention is focused on this campaign. Kickstarter has a very good rule, and that is only one project at a time. And it's a very, very good rule because really you have to keep your entire attention focused on what you're going to deliver. Yes, I've had a very successful campaign so far, but I'm only halfway through, and I still have to make all the cameras. So I'm not focused on anything but getting that done and shipping my reward. However, being funded in 13 and a half hours, who knows? I might have something else in mind in the future. But right now, my focus is to get those cameras printed and shipped.
Cool, great. Well, thank you, sir, very much, Clint. For anyone who is interested in getting a camera, this is an unusual thing to say, but I would say act quickly. One, there's only 16 days left, but there's only, I think, 21 cameras available still, plus your class pack, but basically 20 or so cameras available through the Kickstarter campaign, and I know I'm about to go on and get one for myself. So less than 20 probably by the time you see this. It's definitely a project to check out if you're into photography or you want to support a creator like Clint who's using the tool to do something really interesting in a different way. So thank you so much for your time. We'll keep an eye on you, and best of luck with the rest of the campaign and with your fulfillment.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about my project.
Cool. Thanks. See you guys next week.
Thank you. Good night.